Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, exploring the person behind the lawyer. Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand and Mohit Saraf, founder and managing partner, Sararf and Partners.
Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, a first of its kind initiative that is personally really very close to me and something that has been on my wish list for long. When I started discussing this with my colleagues in the legal fraternity, I was overwhelmed to see everyone welcome it with open arms. Soulful Conversations will help the viewers understand the person behind the lawyer. All of you will meet the who's who of legal world, with the only twist that we won't be discussing anything but anything legal with them today. So what are we going to talk about? We will talk about what strengthens their core as a person. We will look beyond their professional achievements, such as their accolades, awards, wins, or any other conventional measure of success. We would aim to understand their values and beliefs that make them true achievers, digging deeper into their persona and exploring their true self. I will encourage my guests today to introspect, look within, and speak with their inner voice. I'm really super excited to get on this very unique journey of knowing more about these stalwarts that I'm sure all of you are as excited as I am to uncover what goes into making of an icon. I'm also pleased to share that Bar and Bench, a renowned online platform, has happily come on board as media partners for this initiative and will be the official telecast partners of Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand. And on this soulful note, I am pleased to welcome Mohit Saraf. Hello, Mohit.
How are you? Bithika. Thank you, Bithika, for inviting me. This is pretty interesting.
It is definitely an honor and privilege to have you. We are very, very happy to have you on this conversation of today. So I'm just going to briefly introduce Mohit. I'm sure all of you know what Mohit Saraf is all about, but I need to tell you some things a little bit more about him. For nearly 3 decades, Mohit Saraf has played an integral role in India's legal industry. He was earlier the co-founder of Luthra and Luthra Law Offices, and in July last year, he founded Saraf and Partners, a premier full-service Indian law firm with 20 partners and total strength of over 80, which has now more than doubled, with now being 31 partners and strength over nearly 180, which is extremely, extremely creditable. Hats off to him in such a short time. Mohit has rich experience of over 27 years in M&A, private equity, project energy, banking and finance, insolvency and bankruptcy, capital markets, and green energy practice. He is regularly invited by the National Judicial Academy Bhopal to conduct training programs and workshops for High Court and commercial court judges. He is also a visiting faculty at various law and management schools in India and a regular speaker at various conferences. He has authored numerous articles for various national and international journals. Most recently, he worked on a paper titled Judicial Reforms, The Way Forward, on behalf of FICCI, which was presented to Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. There are several awards and accolades to his credit, including being recognized as an eminent practitioner by Chambers and Partners and global reader by Who's Who Legal. Publications like IFLR 1000, Legal Era, and the Legal 500 regularly honor him with top-tier rankings. He was honored with the very prestigious Shaurya Chakra, which is incredible, a National Peacetime Gallantry Award by the former President of India, Mr. R. Venkataraman, the Distinguished Xaverian Award, again in 2019, and most recently, from Hindu College, a Distinguished Alumni Award 2022 for excellence in legal affairs. He's also active member of the several FICCI committees. And I think we have to stop here because I think there'll be many more things to say about him, but I think we have to stop here. Incredible work done, in the past also, and now also since you started your own firm. And so today what we are going to start with is, Mohit, if you can just share with us, in your journey of life, any moments which kind of impacted you, or were your turning points, both in professional and your personal journey. Any such experience if you can share with us.
I think, Bithika, thank you very much for your very, very kind and generous introduction. I thought, as the name would suggest, Soulful, you will not talk about any of our legal accomplishment, but you covered a lot. Thank you very much, and very kind of you.
So we had to start with that, but we are not going to talk about it.
I would say, basically, if you say an impactful thing, when I came to Delhi, I came as a student. I stayed in Hindu College hostel. Then I did my mathematics honors. Then I stayed in Choir Hall and did my law. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I had come from home was not to be a lawyer. Okay. So it was to be a civil servant. And then I took the exams, civil services. I qualified the prelims and the mains, and then went for the interview. And that was the time when I was waiting for my results, because there are a few months of gap, that I started practicing as a lawyer. And finally, and that was the time, 95. The only big thing which was happening in India was the power sector. A lot of power companies and the big 8-9 companies were setting up power projects in India. So I started working as a power project lawyer and went to Bangalore for a couple of meetings, represented a very big US companies with cogeneration doing their projects. So I went there. A lot of my batchmates were all IS officers in Karnataka. And they were all young junior officers. So I was actually going there to meet the electricity board chairman. And so I hosted a small get-together of my friends and my college mates and hostel mates. And when I told them that I've come here to negotiate this power purchase agreement with then chairman of KEB, Karnataka Electricity Board, they were quite shocked. And they immediately left because the chairman was supposed to come and see me. And they did not want themselves to be spotted with me. Right. Because he was too senior a person, and they thought that they are very junior, and they didn't want to. And that changed my life. I said, if I'm going to be this person, like the KEB chairman, after 25, 30 years of my life, and right now I'm negotiating and sitting and having a drink with him and negotiating a contract, why do I have to wait for 25 years to get there?
Right.
And that's changed my life. And that's what excited me about law. And then I finally qualified the civil services and took a year extension, because you can always repeat your performance, and then never joined civil services. So really, that was a very interesting episode. I probably, if I had not gone to Bangalore to be with my friends, this would have never happened. I would have become a civil servant. So that really changed my life.
So this time when you went there, you were a lawyer, right? And so you were working with somebody at that time, or
yes.
You had your own practice?
No, okay. I was working. It was my first year in law in 95.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Great.
I was negotiating power purchase agreement that time. So that's how it changed.
Okay. So then what about anything from the personal side? Anything that has kind of, you still think about it, you say, oh, this happened in my life at that time and that kind of changed things, or, you started, maybe thinking a little differently, or, you got your focus, or you got, something happened to you, I would say that.
Okay, I think, because I was just, Bithika, I was just out of a hostel. And, hostelers and college mates, they dress very casually.
Right.
So I used to dress, obviously, if I have to get on a plane, I will wear a jeans and a t-shirt, and I would always be casual in my dressing. So I remember that that was the time when large power projects were happening.
Mhm.
So there was a company which was building a power project in Madhya Pradesh. So I had multiple rounds of call with that person. He was a developer. We had multiple calls, and he was very happy. And then we were supposed to meet at Delhi airport, and then fly to Jabalpur together. And that time Archana Airways used to fly. So I was, and this is a small plane, 20-member. So I showed up. So I had a lot of discussion. So I showed up at the airport in a jeans and a t-shirt. And I remember that when I introduced myself at the airport, and I said I'm Mohit Saraf, he dropped his bag. He said, "You are Mohit Saraf?" Because he just could not believe that it was me. I used to look much younger then, and I was very poorly dressed for a business meet. And he dropped his bag. He says, "How can this man do my 3,000 crore project?" And that changed my life. I started paying a lot of attention to my dress, because I started realizing that legal profession is a very serious profession. And therefore, the first important thing is that you have to respect yourself. You have to be well respected, well dressed all the time. And that also, in a way, is also respect to the counterparty and to your client.
Right.
And I would say since then, Bithika, there's not been a single day, whether it's 47 degree or 45 degree, I would ever come to college office without a jacket.
Without a jacket. Interesting. You remembered this, and to be able to share it with us, how like such a sometimes should be a very insignificant kind of thing, but left a lot of impact on the way you are today.
Because what it showed is that even if I made a lot of sense on the phone, the client was very happy with me. But when he saw me physically, he just could not relate, because I looked much younger and I was very informally dressed. So he could not relate that this person is good enough to do the serious work. And therefore, I think it changed the entire way I used to look legal profession.
Good, great. So what motivates you the most in your life? It's not necessarily related to work. What motivates you?
I would say, because I've never, as a person, I've never celebrated success. I don't know what am I, but I think what it happens is the gentle way I am is that whatever I want, I work very hard to get there.
Yeah.
But the minute I get there, it becomes too trivial. So I never celebrate. So and I keep moving on to the next goal and the next goal. So I would say, I don't know whether it is anything which I'm really trying to do, but what it happens is that I keep changing the goalpost. And it's more like a fun. It's not really a motivation, not like I want to do this for this, but it is just every time you get something exciting in your life and you get there. One is sometimes, and even my mom always tells me, since why don't you enjoy what you get? I just don't know how to enjoy. So
Yeah.
I change the goalpost and I keep doing it. And not that I don't enjoy it, but I'm not a person who can sit and say, "Wow, I've done this." That's not
and then just sit on it. Then you are ready for your next. I think it excites you. Motivates is another way to say is it excites you to keep changing your goalposts, keep moving on, keep doing more and more things. And you are anyway very well known in the fraternity as a very hardworking lawyer. Your reputation is that of a very hardworking lawyer. But other than that, what very interestingly you have said is that you just don't want to achieve something and then just sit and say, "Oh, I've achieved this," and I'll just keep celebrating this. And so you're already ready with something else in your mind to,
and that is very exciting.
Yeah,
because every time you have a challenge, I think I improve on challenge. Every time there is a challenge, so it's a fun, but the whole process is a lot of fun. Like I can spend hours and hours doing it. And every time, whatever I do, I enjoy it. It's not that I curse myself and do it. I love it. I do what I love, and that's the fun part of it. That I don't know what motivates me, but it's a lot of enjoyment. Actually, I would say it's a lot of enjoyment.
Yeah, it's typically of a very self-motivated person also. Like, you don't really need to be motivated by achieving X, Y, that you are all the time motivated. I think that's how we would look at you. So any person or people that have influenced you the most, like in some way on a personal side or professional side?
I would say, what I have really learned, what the way I have done is I can't say one or two person who has really, who I have looked up to. But what I've done is all my life, I have worked with my partners, I have worked with my clients, and everybody I have worked very closely. What I've imbibed is what not to do from them. So I would pick up things that this is not the way to do it. So what I've done is I have made a lot of do not do list by working with my partners, with my clients. And therefore, I always say that what really people have helped me is what not to do. What to do, I do it whatever I feel like doing it. But what not to do, I've actually learned from a lot of people, with my erstwhile partner, with a lot of my clients who have done very well in life, and then how they destroyed a lot of things. So I've learned a lot from them, that how they conduct themselves in a. So I would say my whole thing is what not to do. And I would say doing is easy, but I think a lot of times we end up doing a lot of things which we should not be doing.
Right.
And as long as that keeps reminded, if you are reminded of not what to do, I think you can be a much better human being, and also can relate to things better in my
life. So you're learning from other people's experiences, and and the influence that you take on is, which very, very, very different way of saying it. I've never heard this before. Is to not on the things that you should not be doing. It is your realization when you see people doing something, or they're telling you, you are like kind of more getting influenced from that side. Like you said, doing is easy and all. Very unique, because I've never heard this before.
No, but actually, I'm telling you, like my erstwhile partner, I've learned what not to do. With Dr. Malia, I did a lot of deals. I learned what not to do. So a lot of people on the real estate side, I did multiple deals from them, and I learned what not to do from them. So a lot of these things I've learned is what not to do. And that has actually helped me a lot. Because when you are successful, I would say that time nobody's tell you what not to do. And therefore, I think that part is very important, that you start following how they leveraged, how they destroyed companies, how they were careless, how they thought. Like I remember reading Richard II in my college. And I think one very important line, the Shakespeare novel, was that I wasted time and now time wastes me. And that's the way. So I've learned a lot of these things from others, how they have people who have been extremely successful. Like I mentioned about Smith Co-Generation. I did a lot of work for Don Smith, the owner of the Smith Co-Generation. There also, I learned a lot what not to do. So I would say that's been my constant learning curve. And I think that helps me a lot.
Right. And I think that makes you very wise very early in life. If you have the ability to kind of imbibe and see where people have gone wrong and learn from it. A lot of people, even today, at whatever age, thinks that they can never do wrong. Or they will never be able to, they will never ever do anything wrong. So they don't need to imbibe. They don't need to learn their lessons from somebody else or get influenced by it. Yeah. But
so when we started the firm, from the day one, though we have grown a lot in a year, but from the day one, I was very clear, Bithika, that I will not over leverage myself. I will only get so many people who I am very, very busy, so that they are very busy. Yes, I will not do that. I have to make it full service, but I don't have to leverage. So I've been that way. In a way, I've learned from people's failure, and therefore it helps me not to take unnecessary risk in life.
Yeah, sometimes to over expand to show the world that you are the largest and the biggest doesn't really help, in at least in my personal experience. Because sometimes, what you think you'll earning even in terms of your financials and profitability, it's not the same just because you're large and big, right? I mean, I'm sure as a managing partner of this law firm and a senior partner of the earlier firm you already know this. But very, very, very interesting inputs you have given us here on, on what kind of things influence you. So another thing I wanted to know was that if you were not a lawyer, though you've done very well and you are doing still and you're continuing to do well. So what is it you would have been if you were not a lawyer?
I mentioned,
given a
Bithika,
choice.
I would have been a civil servant. Because I actually came to Delhi to be a civil servant. I took the exam, went for the interview, just waiting for my result before I joined the firm. So I would say I would have become a civil servant because that is what I was geared up to be. Law came just accidentally. I did law because I wanted a hostel and it was easy to do law. So I just became, and then I started enjoying law. So I took one subject in my civil services as law, and that entire thing, and then just started practicing law while waiting for my result. And I mentioned to you about the Bangalore incident, which changed my life.
Right.
So I would say I was clearly here to be a civil servant, and that is what I grew up to be, and never grew up to be a lawyer. And it's suddenly God has been very kind, and I chose at the right time, right things happen.
Right. And so amazing that after all these years, you still would have been wanting to be a civil servant, because over a period of time, you see so many careers, professions, so much.
No, I would have been because there's nothing else. Remember, I came from a small place. I had no exposure to corporate world. I had no exposure to legal work profession. So I would have just, because if I had not become a lawyer, I would have become a civil servant because I was taking the exam, I was waiting for my result. That's all. It's not today. Today, like if I have a 13-year-old daughter, if she tells me that I want to be a civil servant, I probably will not motivate her to be. But because I've seen a lot of things. But that time, my exposure was only to be a civil servant.
Right. Correct. So what are your hobbies? And generally when you go home or in your leisure time, what are the things you do, or how do you pass time? How you relax?
I think the best thing which has ever happened to my life is my daughter.
Okay.
So I think my 13-year daughter is really the best thing. So I spend time with her whenever I can. Now she's growing up, so she doesn't have that much of time for me because she's very busy. But I enjoy the most is spending time with her. Apart from that, I'm actually quite a loner in the sense that I read a lot. And I don't read so much of law. I read a lot on economics, in world economics, companies, how companies do well, how companies collapse. So I do a lot of reading on economics, business, and companies, those type of things. So I read a little bit of like I'm a person who read Bloomberg a lot, those type of things. And that is what I like. I would understand how the global economics is working.
So you won't prefer to just like meet a lot of people. Like some people like to go over weekends and they meet their friends and kind of party or whatever XYZ. Also as a stress buster, but I think you prefer to be with your family, with your daughter, and with your books.
Yeah, I'm reading a lot, and I think it's not. But again, not that I don't party. I do party. But it's not like something which I can do every day.
Right.
Like once in 10, 15 days is okay, but I can't do every day. I just get too tired. It just doesn't work very well with my body.
Right. So of course, today we are having a soulful conversation. So a bit on spirituality. Does spirituality play any role in your life? Do you have any thoughts on this area called spirituality?
When I was a student, when I was doing my maths honors, that was the time I went to actually to Chennai for a meditation course and stayed in an ashram and did a lot of, I would say, enjoyed that. And then for my entire college days, I would say I was to go for meditation. And I had a lot of good time. I enjoyed it. Lately, I don't meditate that much. Sometimes I do off and on, but I do, I worship God. I have a lot of thing. I always believe that I can control what you can control. But on supernatural thing, I just have a lot of love and respect, and I follow that. I
Your
actually
destiny, basically your destiny.
not destiny, spirituality. I would say, like I have a now during my last 2 3 years, you know that I've had a very difficult time. So that was the time my wife introduced me to Guruji. So I've been going to Guruji's ashram, and I get a lot of, I would say, we did a Guruji puja in the office, Delhi office, Mumbai office. So I get a lot of, I enjoy a lot. So I am a general believer in supernatural power, and it helps me, it guides me, and it's interesting. I cannot tell
I know
what it
exactly. So
does.
there is something beyond us, beyond human beings. There is something, some energies, like we have a universe. So there are some powers and energies is also there for us to be guided from, or they have a play in our destiny, or where we are going to be, where we are going to be. Like, so
No, I
there
think
is other powers.
yeah, right from my college days, I've done that, and now again I do it. I enjoy it. It's not like a fashion. I just enjoy it. I feel good about it. In the morning, I listen to some bhajans as well. So I think I do a little bit, but I would not say that I'm extremely religious and I do a lot of things or do a vrat and things. I don't do any of those things, but I have a lot of faith, and I look for the, I would say, supernatural power for enlightenment and direction and things like that.
Correct, correct. So for the basically to show you the light where you want to go. So you get that and you believe in
Because
it.
Bithika, in
When
my
you believe
life,
in it, it happens with you. People who don't believe in it, it doesn't happen to them. It
no,
is
because
also like that.
I think also, Bithika, if you see, not that I was the smartest guy in my college, not that I was the most hardworking person, but God has been very kind, and I always feel that the difference between what to do and what not to do at every stage, we have to make direction. We have to make choices,
Decision. Yeah.
choice, and those choice lot of time can go wrong, little
Right.
bit here and there, and therefore I think that you need somebody to help you to take the right choice.
Yeah. Right. Right. So, so a little bit beyond spirituality, about the firm that you have created, and what your, what we are doing in as a co-founder in Luthra and Luthra. So, from the entrepreneurship and from the risk point of view, or the way your firm is today, and the way you've grown it in so fast in this 1 year. So, can you share with us some of the experiences? What kind of made you come here where you are today, in a year's time? So what is it that you did or happened with you that made you come this far in a period of 1 year, and how would you relate it to your previous role?
I would say when we started Luthra and Luthra, we were just three of us, three lawyers. Revenue not even in lakhs, very small amount of revenue. And I think we grew, we worked very hard, we were hungry people, and we did not come from families of lawyers. And we worked very hard, and God was very kind. And we were able to grow from three lawyers to 350 lawyers in a matter of 25 years. But I think what was important is I always took risks. I never went for a secure job. We founded the firm. We took the risk of paying people salary and bonuses and everything. But what I was not able to do was that every year I was hiring people from college. I used to go to college to hire. I was hiring, I was hiring all the top senior people in the firm I've hired. Everybody I promised that we will make this firm as an institution, that they will be owners and they will be decision makers. And that I failed to do it. Yeah,
Right.
I failed to do it. And always, all the time, I kept thinking that I was not able to do it because my co-partner could not focus on it. It was not that it was out of design that we were not able to do it. But when I realized that in this firm, it'll never happen, I think that was the time I said, because I did not want to look small in front of my young partners who have hired them from college, who I have promised them. So there was no way staying in that firm, even if I had co-founded, made any sense to me. So we had to start a firm. Fortunately, we quickly started the firm. All the people, because we had a lot of tug of war internally in the firm to make it a democratic structure, which is an equitable structure. The whole argument, fight, and whole dispute was that on that basis. There was nothing for me to fight for Rajiv, because I and Rajiv I was 33% owner, he was 66%. But there was nothing for me and Rajiv to fight. It was only to make the firm as an institution. And therefore, I think it was very important to start a firm where everybody can call theirs.
Right.
And therefore, I think in my earlier firm, I was a 33% owner. In this firm also, I'm 33% owner. So 66% of equity, I've kept it. 33% has been distributed. 33% will be distributed over the next
in future.
And acquisition and for growth. So I would say really what we are looking at is that the firm should outlive me. The firm, everybody who's a performer should be able to run the firm, should be able to take decision making, and should benefit. And therefore the firm grows up. And I think if you look at Bithika in last few years, the amount of people who are moving from one firm to the other, I think this is becoming more like a trend.
Right.
People are going to firm where they are not the second-class citizen. They're going to firm which they can call theirs, which is an equitable structure. Whatever they bring value to the table, they should be able to get equal benefit. And everybody is a class one citizen. So I would say that's a trend. Indian legal world is a very feudal world. I think it took a lot of time. I think whether if you look at our court system, you look at our senior advocate, junior advocate, things like that, we are a very feudal setup. The legal world is a very feudal setup. I think after 75 years of independence, this profession is also finally getting independent. And people, I would say there's a lot of interest to get to firms which are more independent and more, I would say, institutional firm, which is not based on one or two individuals.
Right. And I think partners also, when I agree with this you wholeheartedly on what you just said, because that's exactly what I think. And when I talk to firms also, I talk in the same manner, that the partners or the people who are giving themselves to the firm, they also you have to talk to them at your level. Like you said, they cannot be a lower level or a higher level. Then they never feel that they belong to this firm. And so if you have to go beyond, like even if you are not there and the firm has to run, so those people have to be trained that way, to think it is their firm, and to so then only they can take over from you. The succession doesn't happen if you don't allow them to learn how to run the ropes of the firm, how to take decisions when there are difficult times, and how to have ownership, because ownership is all not a goody thing. People think, "Arey yaar, I'm an equity partner." Lots come with being an equity partner. There's a lot of responsibility comes, and sometimes you may not make profits also, though rarely happens in the law firm, but it can happen. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think if you can create a structure and make an institution that people talk. I hear a lot of firms, a lot of managing partners talk, we want an institution. But lot goes into making an institution, and it is not just a nice word, I would say.
I would say today, Bithika, you're right. Most people, when they call institution, it's only a nice word. I think to making an institution, every founder and every senior member has to make a lot of sacrifice because
Absolutely.
because first he has to think himself like one.
Mm.
He has to think himself as equal to others, which is rarely the case. So I think a lot of these words are used as words, but really people don't mean it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So I think that's it. And today, if you see the trend of changes, is largely because people really want to go to firm which are more equitable,
Right.
where you have respect, you have a seat at the table, and people discuss. Like today in this new firm, we do a lot of decision on getting everybody, all partners on a call,
Board.
and discussing. So we get on a Zoom call and take decisions. I think today, if you look at our website, our profile, a lot of these things, different partners took a lot of initiative. Otherwise, we would have not been ready in 1 year from where we started and how quickly we got things done.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you totally. Totally. So, is there anything in your current firm? Now, I'm only talking of your current firm. Other than, I'm assuming, the support of all your partners have made things easy. Is there any challenge which you feel which kind of sometimes get difficult to kind of resolve or handle in the firm? Considering you are a new managing partner.
No, I would say because now each of my partner have, I would say, have an interest not just in the team but in the firm, and therefore I would say my job has become much easier.
Yeah.
Everybody is working for the firm. Everybody is working together. There's a lot of cohesiveness between the partners. They're all thinking about the firm. They're all thinking about the brand. So I would say it's a very good way to grow from. I could have never done this in a matter of a year, from being almost to 95 to 180, from being 20 partners to 34 partners in such a short time, except because I've got a tremendous amount of support from my partners. And most of my partners are people who I hired them at Luthra as an associate. So they're all people who have grown with. Yes. So most of them are people who I hired them at Luthra as associate. Some of them I hired them in campus, and they became a partner. And so therefore I have a very old relationship with them, and they have a very old relationship with me. Yeah. And therefore it's basically, it's almost like we are basically now living what we always thought will be the end game. So I would say now we are enjoying it, we are building it. It's challenge. We have to grow, we have to get more business, we have to get very good partners. So it's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. So
anything you find in the new generation lawyers who join vis-a-vis the lawyers of 10, 15 years, any differences the way they work?
I would say if you look at 10, 15-year-old lawyers and the way the lawyers were, they were very feudal in their thinking. Right. So if the senior is saying something, they will not say anything else. They will not challenge. They will not argue. So they were very, I would say, feudalistic in their attitude.
Right.
The new generation lawyer are very smart, very hardworking. They if you allow them to push envelope, they will push it. They are ready to work very hard. They want to party very hard, but they are very, I would say, very intelligent, and they are ready to challenge, provided they know that you are. I would say you are. If you challenge a point of view, you are encouraged. People not hold against you. So I would say if they see that you are, and again, law is all about pushing the envelope. It's all about colors of gray, not in black and white. We don't do practice of law about what is black and what is white. So it's all shades of gray. So I would say the young lawyers today are they believe that they're bosses and they are equal, and they want to grow. They want to bring a new aspect, and they are very hardworking. They're very well trained, and I would say it's a very, very interesting lot of young people who are joining the profession. I would say if I was getting lawyers, which I used to get in 95 when I started the firm, the earlier firm, I would not be able to double ourselves. in a year time. Today, the lawyers are very smart, very good. You have to be in a good business. You need to know who to hire, and you need to interview them well, because they know, everybody knows the basics. But I would say you have to pick the best people. And if you pick the best, then they will do wonders to your work, I would say. And again, today, remember, Bithika, today, the legal world, the lawyers, the clients expect a lot of hard work, and a lot of creativity, a lot of new things. Innovation. So they expect a lot. I think gone are the days when the lawyers can do cut and paste job and get away. That period is over. So I would say it's a lot of interesting time, and therefore you need very talented people to add that value.
And I think the new generation of lawyers bring that with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are very well trained. They understand. They do a lot of internship. So they understand law, the principles of law. They also understand how to apply law in real world. So I would say right now, when I do deals, first thing is I want to understand the client's business. I would never focus on law and miss the big picture. So I will always like to understand the big picture. So my young lawyers, when I explain them this issue, I explain them twice, then they just do it as a nature. And that's a very good thing. So it's easy for them. If you guide your young lawyers well, tell them what to do, tell them how to do it, I think you can become redundant very soon.
Yeah, and also I find them very sensitive to their cultural environment in the office also, because they are more perceptive. They understand human behavior also much better than probably lawyers did many years back. So it's not only just focusing on law; it is also focusing on how people are, how their behaviors are, which is also a little bit unique in these youngsters. Okay, so. So on a happy note, is that what makes you happy? And if you can share with us any hilarious anecdote with us, which you still smile on when you think about it.
I think my daughter makes me the most happy. I can tell you that.
Okay, so your daughter makes you very happy. So you remember any funny incident that has happened in your life? It could be anything. It's going to be professionally related. Anything which you can think, when you think about it and say, "Oh my God, that was so funny."
No, not. I think I would say that when I started practicing law, I would say the funniest thing was that everybody in India, that was the time when infrastructure projects were happening, and I was an infrastructure lawyer. And I would say most infrastructure lawyers in India were only looking at list of clearances. Like, what are the clearances you require in India? Yeah, and that's it. And I was really working on project financing, which was something which was most people did not even understand what project financing is all about. And I would say, I remember my erstwhile partner telling me, Mohit, what you're trying to do, you'll never be able to succeed, because this project financing is only done by English firms and American firms. So don't waste your time. And none of the Indian firms will do. And I would always used to say that that's so funny that we are all equally, maybe they are well trained, they have gone to the better colleges, they are more trained, but we all can be project finance lawyer. And I'm so happy that God was kind and I was able to get that. But in India, we just had too many opportunities. That time I was doing almost 50 power projects together. So just because by the sheer volume, that experience helped me to become reasonably good at project finance, which international lawyers did not probably have that experience, because there were not so many projects happening that time. So I would say it's never to say no. I think never to take no for anything. And pushing the envelope, I think in India, still, even after 75 years of independence, I think the opportunity in India is immense. As long as you are at it, and wo jo bolte na, lage raho munna bhai. In India, you have to be lage raho. If you keep at it, I think you can go back and smile, look back and smile.
Any parting words for just the legal fraternity or anybody for that matter.
No, I think, Bithika, thank you very much for inviting me. I think I enjoyed. I think I've had a long relationship with you. And thank you so much. I think it's been wonderful and good that you are talking to lawyers other than law. Because sometimes these questions you asked me, I've never thought about those questions. So I would say you can understand that we get back to law, because I've really not thought about these questions. So it's an interesting thought process which you're doing. You're talking other than law, and it probably, you said in the beginning that it will help us to do a little bit more introspection and think about other than law. And I think all of us are so obsessed with law and what we do. We enjoy it so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lawyers are obsessed with law, and I think sometimes you need to think beyond law. Because those aspects also are very important in life, other than just being very good in law only.
Oh, absolutely. I think you made me think. I think, thank you so much. I think it's wonderful. But I think the only parting note of what I can tell is that the legal profession, if you look at today, we are a small economy, $2.8 trillion economy. Next 10, 15 years, we will be almost $10 trillion. So the legal work, whether it's litigation, whether it's arbitration, whether it's M&A, whether it's financing, will get to almost tenfold from what it is today. The legal budget will go almost 8 times from what it is today in next 10, 12 years. So I would say for everybody who's listening to your show, the opportunity in front of you is enormous. You have to enjoy what you do. You have to be lage raho munna bhai. And then you will enjoy. You can probably be as successful as I am been in 15 years of your profession. I took 25, 28 years to get there. You guys will do it in 15 years. So the opportunity today is enormous. People have to use it, work hard, and stay focused. And everybody need to know that legal profession is a difficult profession. It's a difficult profession, and people need to understand that all of us have gone through that movie where that you have spent hours and hours and a lot of time thinking about this is what I'm going to do all my life. But I would say it's a very interesting, rewarding profession, but a lot of days you'll have your downs and you'll think about it. So I would say basically lage raho munna bhai, and then you enjoy it so much that you realize that all these years, what you've missed is you've benefited.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mohit. And it was absolutely wonderful. And it has been some time we have spoken, and it was so nice to speak on these issues rather than work issues. But absolutely wonderful to have you,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.